What is up, guys? We are back again today with some updates out of Storm Arena. We have the pre-order promo reveals for Storm Arena's Alpha 3 Zangief. Now, this is a big hulking figure. If you're a Zangief fan, you're going to be very excited about this one. We're going to take a look at everything it comes with, take a look at all the great promo shots they gave us for this reveal. And I do want to mention this is an early reveal from the Storm Collectibles website. This is not yet up for pre-order, but this means that the pre-order is just right around the corner. I'm talking probably like later today or early tomorrow, Friday morning. BBTS should have this up for pre-order very, very shortly. We're going to talk about the price. We're going to talk about the estimated release date and when you should potentially be getting this figure in hand. But here is the overall look of the package that Zangief is coming with. Of course, you get the two head sculpts, including the yelling face and the stoic face. You're getting the stand. You're getting the effect piece for the flash banishing effect with four sets of hands, one of those being the translucent pair of hands for that effect piece. So, yeah, you're getting a lot of stuff here for this figure, especially considering how large and big this figure is going to be. So you see here, we mentioned in our video last Select Your Character episode 6, we talked about the current price hikes for Storm Arena figures. So their figures went from $29.99 for the base level figure up to $35 through BBTS. Sagat, who originally was $34.99, is still at that price point, but now we are seeing here on the Storm Collectibles website, this is releasing starting at $37 from the Storm Collectibles website. I believe BBTS will follow this price point. It's maybe going to be $37.99 on BBTS, but this is the most expensive release from Storm Arena's Alpha 3 line so far. Now, as you see here, this does come with the two interchangeable heads, four pairs of hands. The banishing flat effect is what that's called. Sorry, I misspoke earlier. The stand, and estimated release date of Q1 2027. So we'll talk about that here in just a bit, because if you are a US collector wanting to get this at the $37 price point, that isn't entirely accurate, even though that's what BBTS will probably have as their estimated release date as well. But let's first go ahead and just take a look. Let's just look at how great this figure is looking aesthetically. Of course, Storm Arena is always killing it with the sculpt and the paint, and they're just continuing to do that here with this figure. Some things that I'm noticing that they're doing different with this figure than past releases is this different butterfly cut. It looks like it's actually a deeper cut and a larger sleeve piece. You can see part of the pectoral sculpt is actually carrying over into that sleeve piece. So hopefully they're doing that to give it even more range out of these butterflies, and to hopefully also solve some of the gappiness that we saw in earlier figures like the Storm Arena Sagat. He has just huge arms, great sculpt in the abs. You can even see all his little riblet muscles here. He's got this chest hair piece, which is actually looking like it's only attached at the top portion, and this piece just kind of floats down. I'm imagining this is probably a softer plastic, more of like a rubberized plastic to help in posing so that can bend and get out of the way. The head sculpts, these are improved from the prototypes. The earlier prototype head sculpts, I was not crazy about. I think a lot of people weren't crazy about the prototypes. Like his head wasn't wide and short. It was sort of longer and skinnier, but this is actually looking a lot better than the original stoic head face or the original stoic head sculpt that we got. He still is sort of in that realm of the handsome version of Zangief. I would have liked to see them push this a little more, especially when we're talking about the Alpha 3 version of Zangief. Go back and look at the sprites and the character artwork for the Alpha 3 Zangief. He's like super exaggerated, goofy, like bugging out eyes, just crazy contorted face. So it would have been nice to see them do that here, but we know that Storm Arena kind of likes to give us the yassified version of these characters, but I'm still liking this prototype or this head sculpt a lot better than the original prototypes we've seen. Legs are looking great. You can see that dark shading throughout in the musculature. I'm liking the sculpted scars, and the paintwork on those is looking good. I do also want to mention these knees. These knees are actually an improved version of the knees from the original prototype as well. If you remember the original prototype, there was actually, it's a smaller cut here, so it was a lot more of a lip when you were looking at that. This helps it lay a little more flush, as you can see here, but you're still, this is still a large joint that's going to give us a bit of a gap there, but I think it is improved from what we saw in the early prototypes. Let's go ahead and look. They have a bunch of really great promo shots for this guy. So let's just go ahead and take a look at these. Here's a good look at the back of the figure. Nice round, big hulking back, really giving awesome Zangief vibes there. So I'm really liking that. Here he is, sort of posed in his fighting stance, looking good. I will say, maybe it's just his image, his head sculpt is maybe looking just a tad large. If that was like slightly smaller, I think it would make his body look even larger and hulking, which is kind of interesting because like the Sagat figure had a smaller head that made him look big and bulky. So interesting that they went a little bit larger. Here he is in a little bit different of a pose with his yelling head sculpt. It's looking like the beard might be a soft plastic as well, which would be great to help that get out of the way when you're posing. But it's kind of hard to tell from this shot. We'll have to wait and see how they handled this beard when we get this thing in hand. You can see these large shoulders. You can see that brand new sort of butterfly piece looking good. Like I said, just I think this is going to help with the gaps from the butterfly joints, as this sleeve piece is a lot bigger than the ones we've seen them use in the past. But yeah, hands looking good, looking pretty dang good overall. I'm liking that. We'll get into some things that I'm not quite liking here in a minute. When we get there, he has a sort of, signature small legs, but it looks like they get still a good amount of range in their kicking up, as you can see here. The knees, you can see the full extension of that. I'm not sure if that's the full range of the knee there. I hope it gets a little bit more than that, but it's, still a decent amount here. You can see again here is that butterfly piece helping with the gap. So I think I'm, in theory, I'm liking this larger butterfly sleeve piece here with the deeper cut. I'm hoping that that gives it even more range and just kind of helps it look cleaner overall. Here you can see that again. This is an awesome pose. Great shot here. Just really, really cool. Now we get into this shot. So in a lot of the previous shots, when you have him posed with his arms bent in various ways, it's not that much of a problem. But when you have him here doing like his cyclone move or his arms straightened out, you can see these large elbow joints just leave a huge gap in the forearm. Like this cut is basically almost his entire forearm, or at least half of it, and it doesn't lay flush with the joint. You can see that overlapping here. So that, don't really like that. I wish that would have, could hope that like could have been cleaned up or streamlined a little more so this looked more flush or filled out. But yeah, this part here, I'm not digging that, especially if you're wanting to have them in a pose like they're showing us there. And like, so like I was saying, when you have it, when you have it bent in any sort of way, it doesn't look as bad. You can get away with that for sure. But yeah, here's some more posing, looking good. Let's go ahead and look at this effect piece. You can see he has that translucent blue hand for the banishing flat effect. So that's cool. And it's cool that he comes with two, so you can use it on either side. And I'm not a Zangief kind of guy, to be honest. He's not one of my main characters. I like him because he's goofy and funny and cool looking, but he was never one that I played growing up. So I don't know what this move is called or even what it really does. But there's the effect piece that goes along with the translucent hand, and that's looking pretty cool. Liking that. I imagine you can use it for either side as needed since he comes with the two hands. Here's some fun promo shots of him grappling with the upcoming Balrog figure. And we got a little sneak peek here of the Balrog's secondary head sculpt. He has that really goofy eyes bugging, like open mouth look. So that's really interesting, especially because, like I was saying, they didn't give us any of those goofy effects with the Zangief, but Zangief is kind of as animated as this Balrog is looking in the Alpha 3 version. So it'll be interesting to see if this is a head sculpt that comes with the player one Balrog, or if that's something that you're gonna have to wait to get in one of the player two variations. But yeah, you can see that that's a lot of fun there. That's really funny. Here he is getting just absolutely suplexed. You can see here that large butterfly sheath there, much larger. As you can see, I think it helps with some of the gaps here that we've seen in other variations of the Stone Marina figures. But yeah, there he is getting slammed on his head. Looking cool, man. I'm liking this. I was not sure how much I would like this figure based on early prototypes, but they did fix a lot of that, especially in the head sculpts with this version. So this head sculpt here is a lot better than the prototype versions that we saw. And now that we're getting a close-up look of it, I like that they accentuated the brow, gave him some like wrinkles, made him look a little more intense. It looks like we even have like a little bit of a head vein popping out on the side there. So yeah, that's looking pretty good. I like this yelling head sculpt a lot better than the stoic one. And here you can see that sort of floating ab hair piece, and that abdomen sculpture carries up into this piece of the abdomen. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how his range is here. Looks like we're getting that ball hinge joint, that sort of hidden hinge that we got with the Storm Marina Sagat and the Charlie, which unfortunately hinders the range quite a bit. I'm hoping we can get improvements to that with this Zangief figure, just because I feel like Zangief, with his grappling and his body slam moves, could really benefit from getting into a deeper crunch than we've seen with earlier iterations of that articulation setup. So that would be really awesome to see this figure improve on that joint system that was a little bit lacking. You can see here his lats just huge in this sculpt. Just huge back, huge lats. Dude is muscular, dude is hulking. So if you are a fan of Zangief, I think you're going to love this figure. Now, as I said previously, estimated Q1 2027. And normally, what happens there is that is usually when we are estimated to see it releasing out of Hong Kong in the Chinese and overseas markets. So I would expect to see this early in the year next year through Hong Kong. So you can get your hands on this figure Q1 of 2027 if you want to pay the premium price of usually around double the retail price to get it imported and shipped from Hong Kong through a proxy buyer, through a place like AliExpress or something like that. So Q1 2027, if you want to pay the premium for this figure, I think you will totally be able to get this by Q1 2027, as long as everything goes to plan. We did see some delays in other IPs from Storm Arena, like the King of Fighters line, but it seems like Street Fighter, they're really pressing to get these out on time, which is great. Now, what that means for the US collector, so if you do pre order this through BBTS, I would expect this to be in hand by mid to late Q2, as BBTS usually get these 1 to 2 months later than they release out of Hong Kong. So Q1 2027 for Hong Kong release, people will be getting this in hand. If you order through BBTS, I would expect this to be sometime around, let's say, mid Q2 2027. So we're still, a little less than a year out, about 10 months out to getting this figure in hand if you're pre ordering as a US collector for the $37 price point. But yeah, that's going to pretty much wrap everything up, guys, for this full reveal of the Storm Arena Alpha 3 Zangief. Looking really good. looking better than I expected, to be honest, especially based on early prototypes. Now, Zangief is not one of my, as I said, not one of my favorite characters. This isn't a figure that I will be buying like multiple variations of. I'll probably get this P1 version and maybe stop there, depending on what they give us in the Player 2 variant. I know a lot of people were wanting to see the sort of prototype, early prototype version. We saw him doing that winning pose where he's blowing the fireball out. That would be a really cool accessory to include in the Player 2 variant if we do see that. But it just depends on what we end up seeing here, as I don't see myself, stocking up on every variation of this guy just based on the price and my sort of enjoyment of Zangief. This Player 1 version looks fantastic, and I will definitely be getting this Player 1 version once we can get our hands on it and bringing you a full review of this figure, how it moves, how it feels in hand. That's really what I'm excited to get in hand review of this guy, see how he poses. Because yeah, he's looking good, man. I do like the way this figure turned out. I'm happy to see it's looking better than the prototype version. But that's going to wrap it up for us today, guys. If you like this content and if you want more Street Fighter news, be sure to subscribe. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and we're less than 100 subscribers away. Drop a like on this video, as this helps push this content out to people who may be interested. And let me know down in the comments if this is a day one pre-order for you. How excited are you to get this Zangief from Storm Arena in hand? But that will wrap it up, guys. Again, thanks for spending some time with me today. I'll catch you in the next one.